My name is Tim Knorr, and let me tell you why I do what I do. I grew up out in the country on a busy highway that left me somewhat isolated from the rest of the world. Now, we only lived 6 miles from our closest town where I went to school every day, but when you can't drive, 6 miles might as well be on another planet. I also had an older sister, but she wasn't interested in playing in the mud in the backyard, and as we reached our teen years, our relationship grew apart as we pursued different paths. My parents did what they could to keep us entertained, but both worked full-time, and that meant many hours playing alone. Once I could drive, my social life improved, but living in the country still created a physical barrier that had to be overcome just to see friends. And I graduated high school in 2001, and I went to tech school in Appleton. I remember the day we heard on the radio that a plane had hit the World Trade Center. I spent the rest of the day in the student lounge watching TV coverage, including watching the second plane strike Tower 2 live. Shortly after, my cousin Matt joined the Marines, and when he came home, I was impressed by the friends that he had made and the man that he had become. And on the 1-year anniversary of the 9/11 tragedy, I decided that I wanted to do my part. I wanted to become a Marine. That was until September 22nd, 2002, when I was woken up by my father at 2:30 a.m. in the morning and led downstairs to find 2 sheriff's deputies and our family pastor standing in our living room. My sister had been in an accident. The truck had rolled over and she wasn't wearing a seatbelt. I lost my sister that night, forever. This can't happen to regular people like us. Children are supposed to bury their parents, not the other way around. But it did happen to us, and it was especially devastating to my parents, especially my mother. No Marines, not now. I just witnessed my mother lose a child. How could she possibly survive if she lost both? After that, I dabbled in auto repair work and eventually came to be an insurance claims adjuster, where I quickly discovered that if there was any gray area, the general theme was to protect the company's bottom line, even if that wasn't the best thing for the customer who was paying the premium. And nearly a decade had went by, and that lingering feeling of wanting to be a Marine never passed. Time, however, had, and this allowed my parents to heal at least a little. My window was closing fast for my dreams. It was now or never. So I enlisted into the Marine Corps, and off to boot camp and infantry training I went. 5 months later, at my new unit, the battalion commander comes in and says, "Sorry, gentlemen, deployment's canceled. We're drawing down." I was defeated without a fight. I was unsatisfied. I was working longer hours. I wasn't making what I thought I should. And on top of that, my wife wanted a divorce. Terrified, I now had a 4-year-old daughter to support. Where will we live? Where will she go to school? Can I make enough money to support us? Will I make the right parenting choices? How can I possibly do this alone? And then I found Rural Mutual, and things changed. I got my first claim, called my new manager to tell him I found a way to protect our bottom line, but this time I was met with silence on the other end of the phone, followed by the words, "We don't do that here." After 2 years in claims with Rural, I'd still seen my fair share of denials, not because of protecting our bottom line, but often because the coverage wasn't what the insured really needed. Typically we offered what they really needed, but they would tell me that no one explained why they needed it, so they chose a cheaper premium instead. As I hung up the phone with our insured, it hit me like an explosion. Who better to show people what they really needed than a guy who's already seen how the movie ends? I've stood in the ashes of a burned down house, counted cattle buried under a collapsed barn. I've seen firsthand how a life insurance policy supports a grieving family, and worst of all, I've seen the crushing defeat in a person's face when they hear the words, "You're not covered." I've spent much of my life being knocked down, picking up the pieces all by myself. And there's no worse feeling than being alone, flat on your back, down and out, and having no idea what to do next. I became an agent so that when that moment comes, when tragedy inevitably strikes, when the water's pouring into your basement, when there's nothing left but smoldering ashes, when you're in the ambulance on the way to the hospital because your "it won't happen to me" moment just happened, that I'll be there to stand shoulder to shoulder with you and say, "Take my hand. I've been here before. I know exactly what to do. Let me guide you out of the darkness." I can't stop all the bad things from happening in your life. I truly wish I could. But I can guarantee that you will never have to face them alone.